So it's to reroll a test, gain +10 to a test. This must be chosen before the dice is rolled, but I like to let players do it after the dice are rolled because it just makes things go faster. Because you could throw the +10 on beforehand and then roll the dice and then throw it on afterwards. It's still the same result. We move forward. You succeeded or you failed. I mean, it's basically the same thing as re-rolling the stat, only there's now a chance to fail it. So it seems super unnecessary. For me, at least. So far, players haven't abused it and gone like, hey, I rolled and got like 5 degrees of success. I'm going to use a fate point and up it by another 6 and then super succeed this task. So far, that hasn't happened that much, so I'm not too concerned about that. So the second one, I just say you can add +10 before or after the roll, but you can't do both of these right here. You can't re-roll and add a +10 to it. It's just re-roll or add a +10 to your thing before or after. Add 1 degree of success to a successful test. This may be chosen after the dice. Wait, that doesn't mean. Oh, right, yeah. So my first one on here kind of notifies that right there. I don't really care. Count as having rolled D10 for initiative. People tend to forget that a lot. Instantly remove 1d5 damage from the character. This cannot be used to remove critical damage. This is also very important that people tend to forget. Instantly remove fatigue. Instantly removed being stunned or remove all levels of fatigue. Also super important. That was weird. Oh, my stream restarted. Oh, okay, so something must have happened because my stream restarted. Back down to 2 minutes and 23 seconds. Okay, that's weird. Alright, so then. Some people like to say that this Dark Heresy 2e is super gritty and your character is probably going to die horribly. Well, that's where fate points come in. They're basically the extra little stopgap the system built in to allow your story to be told. Fate points are basically your air quotes plot armor. Your ability to avoid having your character instantly die because of some silly mistake. You can reroll your failed attempt to dodge to try to survive that attack that would have killed you, or you can burn a fate point to survive the encounter. And then it's up to the GM to determine if that's plausible and how that would work out. Most likely you'll still get horribly and critically wounded afterwards. But as far as fate points concerned, I think they're a good thing. Keeps your character alive and keeps the GM able to tell that story. Now then, fate points. On your home world, there's a thing called Fate Threshold. And then the number next to it is 2. That means I start out with 2 fate points. And then the Emperor's Blessing is 3 plus. Let's see here. I forget the math on that. Let me just double check my macro. Okay, so the Emperor's Blessing means on a D10 roll of 3 or higher, you get an extra fate point. That's why I have 3 fate points. I rolled a 6, so I get +1 to my fate points. So that's 3 fate points. Next is the wounds. On the home world, it tells you how many wounds you get. By standard, let's see here. I'll skip homeworld bonus for now. Skip that. Let's go down here to wounds. By default, a fair warder gets 9 wounds. And then I get to roll 1d5 to add to that wound count. The wounds is your HP, your ability to soak damage and keep moving. It's going to be really hard to click now that for some reason the stream stopped and restarted. A little annoying. So, I have 13 wounds. That's a little unlucky number. Ugh. I was on my train of thought. Wounds is basically your HP value. For a Dark Heresy 2e, you're going to want to start from 0 and count up. The reason for this is at, let's see here, at half my total wounds, which would be 7, I want to say. At 7 or 6, probably 6 actually. At 6 wounds, if I gain 6 wounds, I am now lightly wounded. This means it'll be harder to heal me. At 10 wounds and up, I will probably be heavily wounded. That means there's even a higher penalty to doing a Medicaid check on me. And then at maximum wounds, I'm basically on death's door, and I have no idea why I'm still standing and fighting, but I am. I'm doing the best I can. Now I'm really, really wounded. I'm still heavily wounded, but any other damage past 13 becomes a critical wound. When I gain a critical wound, that means basically I'm let's see here. What's a good example of this? Let's see here. I'm trying to remember some imagine that I'm like an action hero. I just got shot. Maybe I got my arm blown off, or now I'm bleeding profusely. I actually have the bleeding condition now. That's basically what a critical wound is either being you have a horrific scar, wound, you're bleeding, something's broken, you're blinded, you're dazed, you're knocked prone, something horrible happens pretty much. So that 1 point of critical damage pops up, and then you have to you're still alive, you're still able to move around, but you're impeded by the critical damage and the the effect that applies. As you take more damage, that critical will keep going up, but by this time, if you get shot again, you're probably going to die, because that's a lot of damage. And I believe you outright die when it exceeds your toughness value, when your criticals exceed your toughness value. Pretty sure that's when you die. And then at that point, you would burn a fate point to survive the encounter, and your character passes out, and hopefully someone else saves you. But before all that happens, before you get a critical wound, you can roll 1d5 to reduce this by that amount. So I'm just going to roll a d6 because I don't want to type in d5. I got it by 5. So instead of 13, we're just going to reduce it to another arbitrary number because I'm lazy. 4. So I managed to reduce my total damage received by 5 before I hit the critical. That means my character can still stay up and keep fighting. And I still have another, 2 fate points left to reroll other stuff. Now you're wondering, is this, air quotes, realistic for someone to just shrug off damage? Well, in the grim dark future of wh40k, everyone's apparently is a tough bastard, so yes. That's literally what your toughness value already does. You get shot, and your toughness value is that bullet ricocheted off your abs, or it burrowed into your abs, but caused a flesh wound. Or, a better argument would be probably that, oh, the guy swung at you. He hit, but he only scraped across your arm a little bit, giving a lighter wound than it would have. Maybe your thin is too thick or something. I don't know. It's up to you to figure that out. But basically, toughness is your equivalent of I'm a badass. I closed out of that. Now then, I have a homeworld bonus. The old ways, in the hands of a fair world character, any low-tech weapon loses the primitive quality if it had it, and gains the proven quality 3. The primitive weapon quality basically caps out the damage for a weapon. This is only really on melee weapons. And then the proven quality changes that to, instead of damage being capped out at, say, 7, your damage is now cannot drop below 3. Is basically what this is saying. Proven 3 means no matter what you roll on a primitive sword or melee weapon, you will never do less than 3 points of damage. Effectively, you are so highly skilled at this weapon, you worked with it all your life, you just know how to cut someone with it. Sure hope my stream is still going. Let me go check that. One moment. Maybe if I click my channel, that'll work better. Okay, good. It still looks like I'm live. Excellent. Alright. So then, now that we have that out of the way, that's my homework bonus. A very nice bonus. I'm just going to copy this. Go to Foundry. I'm going to put it on my character sheet as a special ability. And there we go. So I don't forget. Any melee weapon in my hands is a formidable weapon. So my character will probably be pretty good with melee weapons, just by default. Now then, my aptitude is toughness. So aptitudes are basically your... Well, to put it simply, they're EXP... they are used to determine the EXP cost for upgrading your skills, buying new talents, and upgrading your characteristics, which are these 4 stats right here. I'm just going to take a sip of water. Alright, so then from my starting homeworld, my homeworld aptitude is toughness. Let's slap that in. This character sheet has a little special thing, so I'm just gonna plop it in here. But for those of you at home, you should probably just write it down on your character sheet because you're gonna be using your aptitude a lot, so you need to make sure it's there, visible. That's for later. Alright, wounds. Right, I covered that. Alright, now then. That's your homeworld done. That's the backdrop of your character. Now for the background of your character. Characters' backgrounds are more like classes, I want to say. So it's easy to like understand. Let's see here. Is there a list off? So a background is basically what your job was in your character's life before they joined the in this case the Inquisition. Before they joined the Inquisition, what was their job? What were they doing? My character, out of all the choices, I already picked Guardsman, so I'm just gonna scroll straight to Guardsman profile. But the background options are Arbite, which is basically a cop in the grim dark future. Astro Telepathica, which is some guy who does psychic stuff. Mechanicus is the person who would be fluent in technology, as well as other knowledge and lores. Ministranum is a person that does all the paperwork and handles all the paperwork stuff, related stuff. And then finally, I'm at the Imperial Guard profile. That's really all that's important right now. But there's other choices. These backgrounds shouldn't like force your character into a concept. I like to tell my players like the backgrounds are just there to help you make your character the thing you want. You shouldn't use it to force the character to be something. So for example, if I picked Arbite, I don't have to be a space cop. On a hive world, I could be a space cop on a void ship, or let's see here. Other examples. I could be an Arbite on a death world. I could be an Arbite, on some other planet. And of course, you would just change the planet type to that. So if I want to be an Arbite on a void ship, I would just pick the void ship world, and then pick Arbite. If I want to be an Arbite who was like running security on a research station, then I would just pick the research station homeworld, and then Arbite. Or if the homeworld doesn't exactly fit with the character idea, because by picking the homeworld, you're basically defining that the character was born there and grew up there. Let's say I transferred there. So, for example, I was an Arbite back on a hive world who then got transferred to a research station and spent most of his career there. So then I would use the hive world as my home world, and then in my background I'll just state that I was at the research station for primarily this amount of time, running security. But your home world background and all that stuff shouldn't like force your character to be something. Like being a Ministratum shouldn't just make your character some book guy. You can still pick up combat stats, so it just costs you more. So anyways, back to Imperial Guard. So as an Imperial Guardsman, from my background, I get the following starting skills. I get these following starting talents. These options of starting gear. I also get a bonus for picking this background. I also get aptitude, and then it recommends roles, which is the last thing I'm going to completely totally ignore. Alright, so then let's start at the top. Background, Guardsman, starting skills. As a Guardsman, from your job as a Guardsman, you would, of course, get these skills. As you see, since I'm still talking about the skills, I should probably show you. So then, as you can see, I get athletics, command, common lore, Imperial Guardsman, and then it says here Medicae, and the important thing here is or operates surface. When there's an or between two skill names and then there's no comma, like this right here, that means you have to select between Medicae or operate surface. You don't get them both. You don't. You select between one of those two. You don't select between Medicae and athletics. You select between Medicae and operate surface. And then you get navigate surface. So those are the things you just get, unless there's an or there. So I'm going to type that in. Keep clicking the wrong thing. So on this fancy little character sheet thing, there are little drop down menus, and as I said before, known is that you know it, and these are skills I gain at the known state. So let's start with athletics is now known. My command is now known. Athletics is your ability to basically run or exert your energy to travel a certain amount of distance or other physical activity. That is your athletic skill. I could grab the exact description of athletics, but that might take me a few minutes. Skill tests. Let's see if it, or is it, does it talk about it now? Skills, there it is. Skill descriptions. Alright, let's see here. Athletics. Here we go. This is like a quick rundown of what athletics is used for. Is that still acrobatics? That might still be acrobatics. Yeah, here we go. Athletics. The GM can call on a player to use the athletic skill when he must swim across a body of water or to stay afloat. He wishes to push himself beyond his limits and keep going even when exhausted. He wants to climb a cliff or cross extremely rough ground. And then also in the book, it gives you an example of modifiers. This is very important. The modifiers to a roll, or the modifiers to a roll. At a +0, this is like the standard difficulty for a difficult task is climbing a rough rock wall or swimming a long distance. This is the standard thing at a 0 that anyone can, well, not anyone can do, but the standard difficulty for something. And it gets harder when you're trying to climb a brick wall or swimming across a slow river. Yeah, like the speed of the river flow is kind of slow, but strong enough to push you, I guess. It's a -20 when you're trying to, that's a word I don't want to try to pronounce. Fabricate? I never seen that word before. Climbing a fabricate wall without climbing aids or swimming against a current. So you're climbing up basically a flat wall, sort of a completely flat wall. There's no like places to put your hands or anything, and you don't have any climbing equipment. That's a -20, and you're swimming against the current of a river, which is difficult. And then finally, a -30 is climbing up a sleek plate steel bulkhead or swimming rough waters in a violent storm. So that should help you gauge on what these skills are. Basically, your ballpark of how skilled you are at something. If you can, at a +0, you're just swimming a long distance across a river. That's the standard of what someone should be able to do in the 40k universe. And then it gets easier when you're trying to climb a hive or swimming with specialized aquatic gear. It's a +20 across a gantry or swimming into calm water. It's a +30 and climbing a ladder in a hurry or staying afloat in even calm water. Yeah, it's +30 to climb a ladder in a hurry. Let's keep where there is in a hurry. Normally you don't have to roll to climb a ladder. Don't be silly like that. Alright. What is my next skill? Common Lore, Imperial Guard. Oh, first of all, command. Athletics, command, yeah. Command is your ability to give orders to someone. It's sort of like a persuasion test, but it's like you're ordering this person to do it. So because I'm an Imperial Guardsman, I learned how to give orders to people who are let's see here, that I am a superior to, or just to boss other people around, essentially. So I would roll command to, let's say I needed I'm trying to like get into a guardsman barracks and there's a guard on duty and he's not letting me in. I would roll command to order him out of the way. I would like state my rank and say that I outrank him. I'm on a very important mission. Get out of my way now. And I would roll command. Command can also be used as a special rule. Some of these skills have a lot of special rules to them. Little things that you can use with each skill. Command has the special ability to buff your allies. With a successful command test, you can give an ally a +10. This is increased with talents, and most notably if you're a rogue trader, this is their starting ability to just buff people with a +10. So keep that in mind. Command is actually a pretty useful stat. Anyone can pick it up, but once again, this is a EXP based system. Guardsmen start with it for free. Let's see, Common Lore, Imperial Guard. This is basically my knowledge of the Imperial Guardsmen, the ability to recount information about it or to make arguments with it. It's a knowledge skill. So Anytime you need to like question the knowledge of the Imperial Guardsmen, or get information or recall information regarding that subject, then this is what you would use. Common lore, Imperial Guard. No. Next is medicate or operate surface. So let's see here. For my idea for my character, knowing how to heal someone is useful and important. However, I think I want to be more of a operator. So I'm going to go with operate surface. I'll let someone else be the doctor. Or I'll spend EXP to pick up medicate later on. Operate surface is your ability to operate any sort of ground vehicle. That would be a hovering tank, a boat, a tank, normal tank, a car, a bike, a skateboard, anything. Alright, let's see here. Navigate surface. Navigate is my ability to navigate the surface area. So if I'm on a wilderness that I'm not familiar with, I can use navigate surface to still find my way. If I'm in a familiar territory, same thing. I would use navigate surface to figure out where I am. And this is for all planet side stuff. Some GMs may allow to use navigate surface on a large ship, because sometimes they get so large they can be considered a surface. And air quotes surface means like planet. Whereas let's see here. Navigate warp stellars. Navigating stellar is your ability basically to fly. It is to navigate a starship through the void of space, and navigate warp is your ability to navigate a starship through the perilous journey of a warp journey. Perilous. All right, now then. My next thing is starting talents is weapon training, las, and low tech. And the Dark Heresy Dh2e system, you don't start out trained in any weapons until you select your background. So with weapon training, las, and low tech, anything with the las keyword, I have training in it. Anything with the low tech keyword, I have training in it. So this would be las basic weapons, las pistols, and probably heavy las weapons. No, sorry. I need to double check that. But anyways, it's definitely las weapon training. So that means I can fire a las pistol, any basic las weapons such as the las gun, long las, aim-36 las gun, other las gun with random name, and then low tech weaponry would be like a. Let me grab an example. Las lock is also one. The low tech weapon would be class. Book, family. I have a little fancy website to help me figure out. Okay, low tech weapons would be a hunting lance, great weapon. Great weapon is just like a generic category for a two-handed weapon. So you can use you can get a great weapon and say it's a great sword. It's a large handed sword. It's a large two-handed axe. Anything. Crossbow, bow, bolas. A knife is a low-tech weapon. A shield is a low-tech weapon. Spear, staff. You should get the picture by now. My fists are low-tech weaponries. Alright. Now that that's done, you should note this on your character sheet. Anytime you use a weapon that's not las or low-tech, for my character, it would be at a -20. So if my ballista skill is 27, I have a -20 because I'm using, say, a bolt gun. So now I'm hitting on a 7. And then there's a thing in combat you can do called aim that adds a +10 as a half action. So I'm hitting on a 17. So using weapons you're not trained in is still possible, but that then just relies heavily on your actual ballistic skill training. Like your innate skill with your ballistic skill. Yeah, something like that. Alright. Starting equipment. This is my starting equipment. I get a las gun or las pistol. So obviously I would have that training up here covers las pistols. But it probably doesn't cover heavy las weaponry, if I remember correctly. The sword is a low-tech weapon. I get a combat vest, which is the little item. It allows me to put stuff in it and then draw it as a free action. So I can shove ammo in there. I can put a grenade in there. I can holster my gun in there so I can quickly draw it. Also note it says las gun, and in parentheses, or a las pistol and sword. So they're giving you an option of being the common guardsman sort of archetype where you just hold a las gun, or you can get a las gun, a las pistol and a sword, and be more like the sergeant who has like a sword and a pistol, so he's giving commands and waving his sword around and shooting people with his pistol. He's mostly looking for a close, so it's like split up into long gauge engagements to close range person. And this is like your starting ability. So you can still get a las gun and then later pick up a sword. But this is just to help you quickly get into one or the other. Melee or long range, long range or melee. Las guns have like a range of 100 meters, so they're very efficient. And then Imperial Guard Flak Armor, which is 4 AP to all areas. A grapple on line, which is like a rope with a grappling hook onto it, so I can scale down walls. I can throw it up a wall and climb up it. 12 IL sticks. This is cigarettes, and magnoculars, which are binoculars, or as I like to call them, far eyes. But that's also a sniper rifle. I also like to call my sniper rifles far eyes. So that's my gear. I don't see you need to type that in. Just showing you guys how to quickly make a character. Next is my background bonus. This is Hammer of the Emperor. Very important when attacking. Let me highlight this. When attacking a target that an ally attacked since the end of the guardsman's last turn, the guardsman can reroll any results of 1 or 2 on the damage rolls. And this is for all weapons the guardsman has, as long as a target ally has attacked that target. And then finally, the extra background aptitudes are Fieldcraft and Leadership. Fieldcraft or Leadership. Fieldcraft is used for all sorts of talents and skills with the Fieldcraft keyword attached to it. This is, once again, aptitudes are used to determine the cost of how much EXP you have to spend to get something. Because I want to be a mechanic guardsman who's like good at fixing vehicles and piloting them, I'm going to get Fieldcraft. This will allow me to easily purchase tech use and other Medicaid as well, and other skills with the Fieldcraft aptitude. Leadership would be, of course, as the word suggests, leadership ability. This would help me determine the EXP cost for purchasing command and skills, talents like that. Now for the final icing on the cake is the role. The role is probably the most important part. All the other stuff is, I wouldn't say easy to change about your character, but they define your character not that much, but they do like set a base for your character. The role is really the thing that will really say what your character does. As the word suggests, it is your role. So I wanted to be a mechanic, but also I'm kind of leaning towards ace pilot because that's also kind of a cool thing. So let's see here. Choose a role. There's assassin, who's good at murdering people. Shuriken, who's good at doing Medicaid stuff. As a quick example, let me break down. The role also gives you the rest of your aptitudes. And it also gives you extra talents. And finally, it gives you a roll bonus. This is the special thing that's pretty much set in stone, which your character will be really good at. For the Shuriken, or the Doctor, is that you get dedicated healer. In addition to the normal uses of fate points, see page, blah blah blah. When a Doctor character fails a test to provide first aid, he can spend a fate point to automatically succeed instead, with the degrees of success equal to his intelligence bonus. So that immediately tells you that this person is all about healing his allies and other people and other first aid checks. You can spend a fate point to on a failure to just say that you have this number of degrees of success based on your intelligence bonus, which then tells you that it's really important to have a high intelligence with this character. I recommend people not dump all their points into one core stat just because you have something like this. Even though that's really good, all of the stats are super important. Dodge, awareness, ballistic skill, weapon skill. Just because there's someone else good with a gun on the team, or does not mean you should not also be good with a gun. Or just because you're a medic does not mean you should also know how do tech stuff. Actually, that's still kind of the same thing. It falls underneath tech use, which is intelligence, which is also what Medicaid falls underneath. But in my personal opinion, I would still try to pick up other skills. Just in case, for like a quick example, if I'm playing the Doctor and I get shot and no one else bothers to pick up Medicaid skill or learn how to use a medkit, pretty much my character is going to die, and then they're going to die shortly afterwards because there's no doctor to heal everyone. So my professional opinion is to at least have 2 people who know how to use a medkit. At least have someone at known, because the medkit itself gives you a bonus to your modifier on healing someone, and then with like advanced medkit it's a plus 20. And then if you find the right area to do your Medicaid stuff in, maybe someone's assisting you who's also known in it, that's another plus 10. So at the very least, you'll be able to save your medic who's been critically injured, which is probably like a minus 30, at least a 0 modifier. Which is better than trying to do it at a minus 30, because no one knows how to use Medicaid except for the medic who's already dying. Luckily, everyone has not had that kind of situation. Actually, they did have that situation in my game. I shot the medic with a plasma gun. He went down, and there was no one else around to heal him. So the rogue trader just walked over and says, "Heal yourself, but do a good job at it." So he got a plus 10 to heal himself. Let's see here. What am I looking for? I'm looking for Ace Pilot. I think it's in here. Ace Pilot might be in advance. Yeah, I think Ace Pilot is in a different book, so I have to go look it up real fast. So Ace Pilot is basically my role. Ace Pilot is my ability to pilot vehicles is way better than everyone else's. So let's see here. Ace Pilot. Pretty sure Ace Pilot was in here. Crusader, Warrior, Seeker, Sage, Mystic, Hydrophant, Desperado, Surgeon, Assassin. That's weird, it's not in here. One moment. Alright, here we go. Ace Pilots. Alright, as an Ace Pilot, I am gifted with the machine. Well, manipulating the machine. I'm just gonna take a picture and shove it in here. So, agility, finesse, perception, tech, and willpower are my role aptitudes. My role talents are hard target and hot shot pilot. Hard target. Let's look up what that does. Minus 20 to hit this character when he charges or runs. So by default, you get a minus 20 to shoot someone when they run, but a plus 20 to hit them with a melee weapon when they run. This talent will be really useful for when I decide to run or charge. And it kind of fits the whole guardsman background on me, like charging down the enemy. I'm dodging gunfire as I run towards them with my bayonet or my sword at the ready. That kind of works out. But what does Hotshot Pilot do? Hotshot Pilot. All right, let's see here. Onyx Survival. Oh, and for your starting stuff, your prerequisites do not matter. You just get to select them, and they're free. It's only after character creation, during the spending EXP phase, do you have to worry about actually meeting the prereqs for the thing you want to purchase. So on a successful operate test, this is for the hotshot, he may voluntarily suffer 1 level of fatigue to add a number of degrees of success equal to his agility bonus. When failed an operate test, he may voluntarily suffer 1 level of fatigue in order to reduce degrees of failure by amount equal to his agility bonus to a minimum of 1. That's actually pretty cool. I haven't seen fatigue used that much in the system, and I guess I know why now. Normally, I rule it in my game is that you spend a point of fatigue to exert yourself beyond normal means. So let's say I'm too lazy to calculate how long it would take you to get from the door A to door B, and you're running like a really long distance. I'll say, all right, spend a point of fatigue, and we'll say you make the distance, you get through that door in time or something like that. That's normally what I do if I don't really want them to have to roll for it, or if they don't need to roll for it and it's just like a matter of distance and time, I make them spend a point of fatigue. Ace Pilot with the Hotshot Pilot allows you to spend fatigue to essentially gain a degree of success or lower a degree of failure. Alright, let's see here. So I'm thinking myself as a mechanic, a combat mechanic, I would say, because, tech priests get really annoying with the whole flesh is weak thing constantly. That on and on about the machine spirit and flesh is being weak and all that nonsense. So in my Imperial Guard regiment, they really wanted someone with their head on straight who talked human speak and could follow orders. So I'm going to go with hard target, as I think that fits it a lot better. As I was constantly dodging, weaving out of trenches, rushing toward vehicles to get them up and running and repaired. Some guy's gun would jam over there across the battlefield, and I would have to run over there and assist them with reloading their heavy weapon, getting all nice oiled up and ready to go and firing again. Maybe I had to do a couple suicide missions where they wanted me to run through the harsh jungles of the battlefield to a refinery to get the machines up and running. So I think hard target fits my character a lot better. In addition to normal use of fate points. Did I read this one out? Alright. Fate points to automatic succeed on an operate or survival test. Well, since let's see, Hotshot Pilot is basically this right here, I think I'll just use this. An ace character may spend a point to automatic succeed on operate vehicle survival skill test. So yeah, I don't really need Hotshot Pilot, I would say. I believe hard target fits my character better. Plus it adds survivability and makes it and pretty much gives me a bit more of a backstory reason why my character survived the Imperial Guard, because that was just so hard to shoot. Alright, moving on to spending EXP. Starting characters get, I think it was something like 300 EXP. Let me look that up. Okay, you get 1,000 EXP. That's plenty of EXP to demonstrate how spending EXP work in the system. Alright, so then, let's start with something simple. Let's see here. This is the whole chart you have to reference. So, characteristics have their own EXP purchase amount, and aptitudes you need to line up in order to purchase the thing. Skills have their own, talents have their own thing. So we're going to do each one just so I can demonstrate how each one works. So starting with, let's start with characteristics. I want to be a tech savvy person, so my intelligence is 35. I think that's too low. I want to upgrade it to at least simple. And each of these steps here gives it a +5. So at simple, it would be 40? Yeah, at 40, which is reflected on this page here. So, alright, so then what is the EXP cost for increasing my intelligence to simple? Let's look it up on the chart. For characteristics, if you have 2 aptitudes in common, with a +5 it would be 100. With 1 aptitude it would be 250. For 0 aptitudes in common it would be 500. I'm just gonna take a quick picture of this. Shove it into here, so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Alright. So this is the EXP cost for getting you to +5. These are the numbers of aptitudes I need in order to get it there. And then this is if I want to go further. So the way that upgrading your stats works is that you start at +5. If you then decide that you want to move to +10, you have to spend this amount to get there. But you don't just go from like you don't just go from no upgrades to +20 with a 750. You have to go from 100, 250, 500, then the 750. So you have to spend all that EXP to get to that step. It's a lot of math, sure, but that's why we have calculators. So then, to increase my intelligence, I need knowledge and intelligence. Those are the 2 aptitudes I need for increasing my intelligence. I'm probably going to give you 2 examples of this one, just because there's two different things I should probably show you. So let's see here. Take a picture of this. Intelligence is, well, actually, I only need 1. So as you can see, the characteristics is its own aptitude, which is intelligence, and knowledge. Now let's scroll up through my character. Did I get intelligence or knowledge? I don't believe I got intelligence or knowledge aptitudes. Therefore, I have to purchase it at 0. So it's going to cost me 500 EXP to increase it by 1 step. So I'm going to add that in here. This is my current amount of EXP. So I have 500 EXP now left to spend. That was a lot, just for the 1 step up. But I think it was worth it to make my character concept idea a reality. Is a hotshot mechanic who's really good at getting the job done. It's very authoritative. Dude, he gives orders, he takes them, he gets the job done. That's why he got recruited into the Inquisition, because he always got to his objective, which was always some sort of mechanical issue, and he repaired it. And tech priests tend to be slow, annoying, and there's another word that's an insult to them. I'm sure you guys can fill that in for me. His regiment really didn't like tech priests, and they wanted to avoid them. So they picked up this fair worlder, and this guy turned out to be pretty smart. So they was like, "Yeah, you learn how to fix this gun." Wow, you did a really good job. You really put a lot of effort into that. All right, now learn how to fix this tank. Good job. And they gave him 1,000 EXP. And then they And then he got recruited into the Inquisition. I think I've been going for 2 hours now. Character creation process in Dh2e is not is a long process, especially when you're talking about it. So that's done. I upgraded my intelligence by 1 step. That was 500 EXP. Because I had no aptitudes in common. Alright, we're now going to do a skill. So skills have the same concept, only it's different. Okay, yeah, I'm only going to use these 2 right here. So, let's see here. You got your aptitudes, number of aptitudes, same thing, pretty much. To get it at known, it's, well, first of all, they're actually pretty cheap compared to this. These are the skills, your stuff you're going to be rolling a lot more often than your characteristics, but your characters add points to your skills. So if you want to be generally good at a bunch of stuff, you would upgrade your characteristic, which would cover a lot more skills, but you'll still have the minus 20 on those skills, so then you'll have to upgrade the skills to actually be good at them. It's probably a little confusing, but let's see here. So I am upgrading my awareness, the aptitude is perception, and fieldcraft. So let's see here. I do believe I have at least 1 aptitude, and I'm too lazy to check and see if I have a second one. So I have 1 aptitude. It's going to cost me 200 EXP to get it to known. If I wanted to get it to plus 10 or plus 20 or plus 30, I would first have to spend 200 EXP, then 400 to get it plus 10, and then 600. I can't just spend 800 and get it plus 30. Not how it works. So then, let's get it to known. And just FYI, don't be lazy. Make sure you double check your aptitudes and make sure you have the correct aptitudes. My players have successfully spent the incorrect amount of EXP. They ended up either spending too much EXP on a skill or too little EXP, resulting in a negative balance. And I contemplated murdering them in the game. I contemplated killing their characters and making them start over. I'm not gonna lie, I contemplated it. So, my awareness is now at known, and it cost me 200 EXP. So, as you can see, I have a 27. This character sheet's all fancy and whatnot, so I guess I could show you how it works, but this is in Foundry. This is the only Dh2e character sheet, but basically all these little numbers and symbols, they all mean something. It just takes a while to figure it out. So let's see here. Let's start with perception. This little N means it's untrained. This right here is the mon modifier, which is this 10 column right here. And then let's go up to intelligence. You can see that my plus 5 from before upgraded it. So it was originally a 35, now it's 40. You can see that it has an S in there, which means it has been upgraded once to the simple state. And then down here is the 4, which is the bonus number. They only count the 10th column number when adding to other stuff. Like if I, like for example, once again, the armor monger skill. When I work on my gear for like an hour, I buff my armor based on my intelligence bonus. So if this was 41, I would just use 4. If it's 40, I just use the 4. So my armor would be increased by 4. Yes, it's a very good skill. Armor monger is a very good skill, and pretty much everyone who is a combat character, even if they're not an intelligent-based character, should try to invest in getting armor monger. If they don't want to fucking die, you should get armor monger, and dodge, and awareness, and Medicae, at least at known, and probably up dodge higher. And then if you use melee weapons, you should probably get parry. There's a lot of, you should probably get these skills in my speeches. And My opinion is probably wrong on that, but will continue arguing that that is the correct opinion, because characters who do not have those things always end up severely injured or die. And they die because the other characters don't have those things. So they can't help that character who doesn't have those things, who does have them. So if, back to my medic thing, if the medic gets shot, no one else has Medicaid, then no one can heal the medic, so the medic dies. And then they all die. If they all have Medicaid, and the medic is just like higher, more trained in it than everyone else, they can still add a +10 to his rolls. So it's like, you're not really losing anything except EXP. And what's more important? That little bit of EXP, well, actually that large amount of EXP you would need to dump into weapon skill to be better at killing something when you're already good at killing something. Or make sure everyone is alive and actually being able to figure stuff out with Medicaid checks. Because Medicaid is used for healing, as well as investigations such as diagnosing symptoms, checking blood samples, running DNA samples and other stuff. So having it trained in a game geared towards investigations would be pretty useful. Just so the Medicaid person isn't doing it all himself. A quick story is that I played a tech priest. Tech priests have too much stuff handed to them, but even they can still fail a roll. So I was a tech priest who was focused on Medicaid, and I had some points in tech use. No one else had tech use, so I was trying to hack a data pad, which is basically like it's not a laptop, it's the other thing, an iPad. It's essentially an iPad. I was trying to hack into it. I failed my tech use test to try to hack into it, and then I tried to re-roll it with my fate point. I still failed. Meanwhile, everyone else at my party who did not have tech use known couldn't assist, and they just basically stood there and watched me fail a very important task to acquire a very important clue. In that situation, it's not the tech priest's fault for not having a high enough tech use. It's all your fault for not, assisting him in the matter of getting it at least known. You guys didn't do anything. It's not solely one person's fault. It's my point. It's all your fault. I GM, so I have many complaints about people not doing things when they could have done something, and then being blamed for lack of action or not being good at something. As well as the constant argument I like to make against min-maxing your character, because you shouldn't have to min-max a character if other people actually, played the game too, got the same skills. I should probably stop talking before I make this salty. Alright, let's see here. Now let's go to talents. This is the fun thing. I keep talking about Armor Monger, so let's go look that one up, and I'll grab that one. I most likely don't make the prerequisites for it, so I'm going to make myself I'm going to get the prerequisites, and then I'm going to get the talent, just to show you how that works. Let's see here. Armor Monger. Alright, so let's see here. Take a giant picture of all this. So, Armor Monger. Alright, so then. What the? Well, you're not losing anything. So, Armor Monger is just like spending EXP on every other skill. You have to have a certain number of aptitudes, and then there's tiers. This is actually different for talents. There's tiers of talents. Each tier of talent, there's not like Armor Monger tier 1, Armor Monger tier 2, or tier 3. There's one tier for a talent, and that determines the EXP cost along with how many aptitudes you have. So for Armor Monger, it's a tier 2 talent. So we look down the tier 2 column. Alright, do I have intelligence and tech use? I do not have those two aptitudes, sadly. So Armor Monger is going to be super expensive at 900 EXP. However, let's just say my character has been playing for like several sessions. So let's see here. Commonly in the book it says like hand out 500 EXP if you're like too lazy to figure out how much EXP to hand out. And I was like, that's way too much EXP. In my personal opinion, I would actually start out by handing out like 500 EXP, just cause this is like a grim dark setting, and it's really easy to get fucking killed. So unless you wanna like the more EXP you hand out, the quicker the characters can get up to they can get up to a air quotes level in which they can easily survive or the encounters or tackle the challenges you have set up for them, opposed to a character who's just starting out of the gate. It's fine to not give them that much EXP. I actually give them EXP. I actually currently, I started out giving them like 500 EXP at first just to speed them up. Then I switched to 100 EXP per objective they actually accomplish. And notable thing they actually did. So my reasoning for that is that I started them out on a death world. And death worlds are highly dangerous places where literally everything is trying to kill you. So I basically made that argument to myself that 500 EXP per session was good because you were staying alive, you were role playing, you were accomplishing your objectives, because your objective was essentially survive on this camping trip your Inquisitor sent you on to train and learn about stuff. So that earned them 500 EXP, pretty much, almost per day. I think I might have lowered it and raised it. So that got them up pretty quickly to like more of a badass level of being actually competent at skills and having more EXP to spend on skills, characteristics, and talents, and being able to diversify the character a little bit, which allows me to give them more options during encounters. So let's say at like the very beginning, if I sent them on a mission to figure out to acquire a DNA sample of this plant on this Pharaoh world, and they're just starting out with 1000 EXP base characters, and let's say there's a medic, everyone else picked combat characters, only the medic will actually be able to accomplish the task. But the medic will actually be pretty easy to kill, and everyone else will probably have a hard time keeping the medic alive because their skills are really low. They would also have to focus their skills a lot more early on in order to make sure they're able to survive to the next encounter. So that would mean that basically I highly doubt anyone would know how to defuse a bomb. Probably wouldn't have anything in survival because people can tend to skip that. I highly doubt anyone would have put any points in charm because people think that's useless in a grimdark setting. And let's see here. Other skills that you would think would be useless, people would probably not pick up. So with 1000 EXP starting characters, that gets them sort of in the door, the foot in the door. But if you're starting out a campaign, you want to give them more EXP just so they can quickly purchase all the stuff to realize their character and pick up skills such as stealth, so they can actually sneak around and avoid encounters. And then finally, when it looks like they're starting to get a decent character put together, you then switch to objective-based EXP giving out. Stop giving out so much bonus EXP. So like 100 EXP for like good roleplay, 100 EXP for accomplishing this exact objective or making headway on your investigation. So let's say their mission was to go and acquire a DNA sample of this plant on this Pharaoh world. They would not get any EXP for landing on the world, traveling to the location. But once they get to a location and they harvest the DNA sample, they would get 100 EXP for that. Then they would get 100 EXP for returning alive and turning in the DNA sample to the Inquisitor. They would then gain a bonus 100 EXP during that whole mission if they stopped and like questioned the natives and figured stuff out about the plant, like where does it commonly grow? Is it safe to harvest? How should I harvest it? How can I transport it? Other important information that involves them interacting with the environment and narrative more. That would gain them an extra 100 EXP because they went above and beyond and gained additional information besides just the DNA sample. Sure, the Inquisitor didn't say, hey, go learn information about this plant. He asked for DNA for it, but they did more. So that's an extra 100 EXP. So at the end result, that's 300 EXP. And then there's influence, which I'll cover later. But basically, Giving out influence is essentially you would probably give 1 to 3 points of influence based on missions actually accomplished. Alright. So, Armormonger, back to this. Do I have 35 intelligence in the prereqs right here? I do have 35. Do I have tech use trained? Do I have trade armor? I do not have those. So I have to spend EXP on those things right there. Why does my phone keep pinging? Oh god. So I'm just going to say that I have these two things, and we're just going to say I spent EXP on them to gain them. It's going to be really expensive because tech use and trade is, I probably don't have, actually trade skill I probably do have the, let's see here. So for raising my tech use, let's start with that. For my tech use, it is intelligence plus tech. I have 0 aptitudes for that, so that's going to be a lot just to get it at known. So that's 300 EXP spent on that. And then for the trade skill armorer, that is a skill. Trade armor is a skill. So there's a skill that's called trade skills, or it's just called trade. This skill has like a bunch of branches to it. So it goes trade, and then you purchase that skill, and then you determine which trade that you want. So there's trade armorer, trade void ship guy, trade cook. I like to homebrew that one in. I don't think that's in there. Trade sculptor and technomant and polygon, and I don't know, some other stuff that no one really picks up. Everyone just grabs trade armor for obvious reasons for this Armormonger stat, and trade armor allows you to craft weapons and gear. So I bought that. So now I now I buy the Armormonger talent, which gives this benefit. It gains an extra amount of armor points equal to his intelligence bonus. Takes an hour each day. So each day, I would gain a +4 to my armor. To put this into perspective, my toughness value is 3. I'm just going to put 3. Plus my armor, which is Imperial Guard flak armor, which is 4. I guess armor. I don't want to call it AP because that might get confusing. So let's just put armor points. And then if I worked on my armor for an hour each day, so at the start of this day I worked on my armor, I would gain an extra 4. So that would equal 8 armor and 3 toughness, which would then equal a soak of 9, 10, 11 soak. So the reason why I separate those out is because in Warhammer 40k, there's 2 different types of weapons. There's the ones that do AP, and then there's ones that are useless. I'm a little harsh on that part, but there's a reason for that. Weapons that do no AP means that you have to get through their armor and then their toughness. So let's say I got a 4 points of damage. Actually, I probably should up it. Let's see, there's total soak is 11, so I'm going to do 12. Let's say I did 12 points of damage. The armor reduces it by 8. Well, I mean, no need for this step right here. I just jumped straight to my total soak. Because the attack doesn't have AP, I did 12 damage. 12 damage, no AP. That would equal only 1 point of damage. Now, if I did 12 damage, with AP 8, that would equal, so AP ignores that armor value of 8, which means all this 12 damage just goes right through your armor. And now the only thing that's protecting you is your sheer badassery, which is your toughness. So that means that only the 3 in the toughness reduces the 12 points of damage. So then, let's reduce that. Okay, good. I'm right. Throwing that out there. That means I would take 9 wounds. See the difference there. AP versus not having AP, high armor versus not having high armor versus having high toughness. If my toughness was like fucking 10, then I would have like 0 wounds down here. So, of course, no normal human would have a toughness of 10 because only a that would basically be 100 in toughness. A character score of 100 toughness. All right. Now that is complete. We have successfully made our character. Thanks for dropping by. Does anyone have any questions about making a character? Alright, well, feel free to ask questions about making characters. I'll jump back to that later. So, let's move on to making a campaign. So, I'm going to make a campaign based on the character I made. Delete all this stuff. I don't like it. Okay, good. Alright, so let's make a campaign. So let's see here. I have talked to my players, which is me, because there's no other nerds I could get on this call to talk with me about this nerdy thing, so I'm going to make my campaign about this character right here. So as we established, he is a Pharaoh worlder who got shipped off to the Imperial Guardsmen and then was made into a mechanic because they hated tech priests and they were annoying. So let's just write that down. This campaign is about a Pharaoh worlder who joined the Guardsmen and became a engineer. So this right here is focused on this character a little too much, and I want to make an open campaign for anyone to make their own characters, because I have tried making people only from a certain home world, and they would never shut up about this one little fact. And I was in the only war system, and the only war system, if you are making a death wielder and you want to make an intelligence character, or you don't want to make an intelligence character and you're just making a character, almost everyone complained about the -3 to intelligence. The -3 to intelligence versus all the other cool shit they got. They complained about the -3 to intelligence. And for the love of God, it would not stop. So anyways, I'm going to open up this campaign so it's not just Pharaoh worlders. Let's see here. Typically, though, Imperial Guard regiments recruit from probably one place and then shove them all into one regiment, because that way everyone knows each other and they work together. They actually kind of realize this. Despite any sort of like lore and whatever nonsense you read on the internet, the Master Militum actually thinks about their actions, and part of their thought process is if all these people know each other, they'll obviously work together better. So normally when they make a regiment, they get it all from one place and they shove them into a regiment. It's only when they die, or say someone like an Inquisitor or a Rogue Trader is recruiting, do the regiments actually mix. So let's say, for example, a Inquisitor has a current supply of guardsmen who are all from Cadia. Their numbers got cut in half because their planet blew up, spoiler alert. I mean, their planet went off to a little farm in the galaxy. There's this nice little safe place. So anyways, his regiment is now cut down to 500 men. He's going to go to this Pharaoh world and he's going to recruit 5,000 Pharaoh people and make them guardsmen. Because he has 500 Cadians, he's going to have them train up the 5,000 Pharaoh warlords who don't know how to use guns. Luckily, the Pharaoh warlords are semi-skilled at using bows and slingshots and extremely good at using melee weapons. So they're obviously going to be bystander be pretty good at melee, which is pretty good for Acadia because that means they don't have to train them on how to properly use their bayonet or how to strike someone with a sword. That covers a lot of the training necessary, so that they can just focus on training them how to shoot a gun. Let's assume that the Fair Warders were already in a sort of military sort of thing. Let's say they were all knights in an order, so they all like knew how to like march in formation, take orders from a superior officer, how to give orders if they are sort of a high-ranking knight, how to properly engage in this battle versus this battle this way. So let's say they already have military training from fighting on their home planet. So the Acadians would have even less work to do because they're already trained on how to march in a squad. That literally means they just have to show them how to shoot their fucking gun and how a grenade works. And then they just show them how to put on their flak armor, which is just like regular armor that anyone could probably figure out. Doesn't require training. They're just like, showing them how the bells and whistles work. However, because they're Fair Warders, they are not familiar with all this high technology. Don't try not to laugh at that. All this fancy technology, such as this. Let's say they have telescopes, so they would know how to use a binocular or magnocular, as this game puts it. But they wouldn't know how to like perform first aid stuff because, let's say, their medical society is still a little archaic. They only really know how to stitch up wounds and bandage it and maybe put in some healing salves. That's all they really know how to do. Whereas the Acadians know how to do a bit more advanced stuff like resetting bones, grafting on fake flesh, sewing up more complex wounds, fixing organs, replacing body parts with cybernetics, more advanced medical procedures. Alright. And then, so, that really literally just leaves how to shoot your gun and then operate advanced Imperium equipment such as tanks, vehicles, and how to reload your gun. Other stuff like that. So then, this campaign is basically about that. This campaign is about that journey from Fair Worlder to Imperial Guardsmen, trained underneath the Acadians. So it's like a coming-of-age story, I guess. This campaign is about a Fair Warder who joined the Imperial Guard. Let's change this about, let's do a plural there. This campaign is about the Fair Worlders who joined the Guardsmen and became engineers. Trained by veteran Acadians. Alright. So you have to keep in mind this is a, I have to keep in mind that this is a Dark Heresy 2e campaign versus a Only War campaign. So this is still kind of more or less for the Only War. This would work just fine if it was an Only War campaign because typically in that campaign you're not being recruited to do investigation work. You're mostly being recruited to do war stuff. So this, as I have written it and said, your every player CAD would be recruited from this Pharaoh world or a group of Pharaoh worlds, trained by Acadians to fight in this war, and then eventually the characters will get so skilled they are made into a kill team, which is like an elite special forces for a regiment, and then they would be sent on missions to do more complicated stuff such as sneaking behind enemy lines, sabotaging something, blowing something up, maybe navigating through an active battlefield to get to this anti-air emplacement, repair it, and then get that online in time to shoot down any sort of encroaching enemy bombers You know, something like that. That actually sounds like a pretty good campaign idea. I might just jot that down and then make a new how to make a campaign with Dark Heresy 2e characters. So I'm just gonna write that down real fast. Trained by Cadians. So this campaign is about a group of fair warders who joined the Imperial Guardsmen and became engineers. Trained by Cadians, sent on missions in the Skyrene front. This is the common. This right here is like the starter setting, and the only war rulebook is the Skyrene front. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put that in there. So they fought in that war. That's where they trained up to also become engineers. Became skilled enough to be put in a kill team or otherwise gain a higher rank. Right. So for the only war rule set, it's pretty much the same as Dark Heresy 2e, except for influence is traded out for logistics, and logistics is basically it helps you determine how to get items and all that other stuff influence does, but in addition, it also determines your rank. And the reason why I wrote this last part like this is because I was like, if the characters don't want to be a part of a special squad of skilled individuals do kill team suicide missions sort of things, instead they can decide to be higher ranking officers and they'll be given more command over the troops. So they'll be leading an army against an army sort of thing. But yeah, or both actually. It really depends on what your players and GM is up to, want to get up to. So sent on missions to repair damaged vehicles in active battlefields, comma, recover wounded tech priests, comma, sabotage enemy AA emplacements. And let me just change this to, only war. I kind of like messed up on my little how to make a campaign. I go, oh, all right, let's go hard in with this guardsman idea. All right, so Dh2e. Let's how to make a campaign. So then, these are the bullet points to my campaign, but let's just put that aside because that's mostly for a only war campaign. So let's kind of like rewrite this idea for more of a Dark Heresy 2e campaign, which is, well, Dark Heresy 2e can be played like a war campaign. You can just have your Inquisitors or Acolytes fighting people, but typically you want like a mixture of everything in a Dh2e campaign. But once again, it's up to the GM and players of what kind of experience they want. So I like to mix all of them, and also even in my only war campaign, I would still kind of like mix in investigation, intrigue, talking with people. Because mindless shooting back and forth, you don't need a GM for that. If you just want like two things to fight each other, you don't need a GM for that. You can just get two players to do that. That's called the war game. We're here to tell a narrative. So then, Dark Heresy 2e. What should the narrative be for this campaign? Why? Let's see here. Why would they recruit this specialist or these set of specialists? Let's say they needed people who were. Let's say there's an issue somewhere. There is an issue. Where's the issue? Let's say it's on a Forge world. Alright. What is the issue? Let's see here. Tech priests are acting stranger than normal. Okay, they're strange, but they're acting stranger than normal. Okay, so that's not really a defining thing of an issue. What really causes the issue that gets the Inquisition interested in launching a undercover investigation to check things out? Let's say a high-ranking tech priest ends up dead. Alright, that's interesting, but commonly people like to argue people dying in a grim, dark setting is like no big fucking deal. Who cares? Tech priest dies. So he's a high-ranking tech priest. Big deal. We got plenty of those, right? But let's add a little bit more. Let's add a little bit more mystery. Wow, working on a project. Okay, so we added a project, so that makes things a bit more focused. So it's a little bit more important that he died because he was working on something that was beneficial to you, the Inquisition, to learn about. All right, so now next step is, what is the thing he was working on? We can just go for xenobiology. That would be a pretty good easy one. Maybe he's figuring out some sort of xenotech, what it does, how it works. Maybe he's trying to figure out a cure to a disease that's happening on some planet somewhere else, and then the Inquisition is pressing him to hurry the fuck up on this, and he winds up dead mysteriously. It's almost like someone's trying to sabotage that. They're in search for a cure. Maybe the last one. There's some sort of new disease that's causing a very bad mutation, and the Inquisition has contracted these tech priests to figure out a cure. That sounds important enough for the Inquisition to stay updated on their progress, rather than just being a random point of interest for them to occasionally drop in and see what's going on. As well as, you can still sort of justify that the Inquisition is still too busy to literally send everyone down there to figure out what the fuck is going on. So they want to send a undercover agents, some sort of fresh face greenhorns, because this should be an easy mission for acolytes to accomplish. Hey, figure out what killed this guy. It can't be, anything too complicated. I mean, it could be the guys who you worked with, could be someone else on the planet, it could be, this should be an easy task befitting of an acolyte, someone who just joined up with us. So let's go with tech priest was working on a cure for a mutation. Alright. And then he winds up dead, and then the inquisitorial agents get sent there. Now then, who killed them? Who killed him? We could go, he was killed by a jealous academic rival. So let's type in possible suspects. Rather than just saying who killed him, let's do suspects. Because this way, you have some options of places to misdirect the blame or trick players and actually make it into a real investigation. Here's multiple things you need to figure out. You need to actually talk to all these people, figure out who did what, why, when, where. So, suspects. Rival, tech priest, academic. Let's see. Jealous lover, just cause. I don't know. Let's just throw that in there. He was married. He had a wife. But he dumped someone else to marry this person. Sure. I don't know. Just like literally anything to add more suspects. And then we'll hack us. We'll hack some off the list. or let the players do it for us. Hey, that doesn't seem that reasonable. Why would you kill your ex-lover? That seems like too unnecessary. So, suspects. Anyways, back to suspects. Let's see here. Maybe. Murder hobos. Maybe some murder hobos did it. I don't know. Trying to think of other suspects here. So we got the rival tech priest academic. Let's try apprentice. Alright. Now let's do a bit more stuff. Let's branch out from his inner circle to a more outer circle of possible suspects. So maybe it was just like some random person just walked in there and shot him. So let's go for assassin. Alright. So let's pick someone else. Maybe it wasn't on purpose. Maybe it was on accident. Maybe just something went wrong in the lab. So let's go with janitor. Alright, we got our suspects here. For whatever reason, this guy died, and these guys may have something to do with it. Let's just throw one more in there just for a joke. Let's go with the cook. The cook did it. Alright. Cook. Void captain. Let's do void ship captain. Alright. So the cook may have gave him, maybe the cook slipped him some poisoned the tech priest, killing him. And I know what you're thinking, tech priests don't eat food. Well, for the sake of this argument, he does occasionally like to delight his palate with the very finest of hors d'oeuvres. I guess, rich people food. And then the void ship captain is, maybe the void ship captain often ferries goods back and forth between the planet. And the tech priest makes all sorts of demands from him of supplies, and he pays him. Maybe he didn't pay him, or he owes him too much money, and he's still demanding stuff. And the void ship captain, in a heated argument, shot him. Maybe something like that happened. Who knows? All right. Yeah, I'll figure that out later. And then the assassin. Maybe the assassin came from the opposition, the people who made the mutation, and are trying to stop them from finding a cure. Maybe that's where the assassin comes from. Alright. Now we're going to go on to how he died. So we know he died. We have some suspects. But how he died. So let's, cause of death. Lab accident. So we're gonna go broad, and we're gonna start with lab accident, because obviously he's working in his lab, doing genetic experiments or trying to find a cure for this specific genetic mutation thing. And then a lab accident happens, and then all of these possible suspects could have made that happen. So, lab accident, and resulted in his death. Now, how does a lab accident result in his death? Maybe something exploded. His experiment got loose and killed him. You know, something like that. So we got at least 2 causes of death. And for the sake of an investigation, it looks like both things happen when the players get there. It looks like the specimens got loose, the lab exploded and got destroyed or was trashed. You know, there's a lot of little clues here. Now we're gonna go with clues. How do the players start narrowing down the important clues from random stuff? So at this point, we need to figure out a suspect. Who do we think killed him? I'm gonna roll a dice for this. Rival Tech Priest. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's roll a D7. And there's no D7 dice, so we're gonna go R D10. Oh, sorry, D7. And a little program here. 3. 1, 2, 3. The apprentice did it. Clues that lead to the killer apprentice. Alright. So we want clues that lead to the apprentice as the killer. Well, first of all, you need lab access. Okay. Secondly, motive. Lab access, motive. Time. Like as in his schedule matched up or something like that. I don't know. Let's just put time in there. He had the time to do it. He had the reason, the motive. He had lab access. And he had the knowledge to pull it off. Okay, so these are the clues to help the players figure out how this happened. So lab access. Lab requires, so in order to access the lab, you would need a key card, DNA sample, maybe a fingerprint scanner, but tech priests tend to augment their bodies a lot, so probably should go with something other than fingerprint. Maybe it's a binary code scanner. Okay. So obviously, let's figure out who would have this. So who would have the binary code? Actually, let's go with a code input. Lab requires a and let's make it like a really ridiculously long code, so it's not like 2477, not like a 4-digit code that you just type in. It's something super long, complicated that only a tech priest could figure out and remember to type in. So let's go 1110021. So this is the code essentially. No possible way a human could to memorize that. So that's a given. It's not easy for a human to memorize. They could always write it down. So that's another clue to this lab access. Not easy for a human to remember. Now, who would have this? Let's say, so the rival tech priest academic could gain access to it. The jealous lover could possibly gain access to it. The apprentice definitely has access to it. The assassin would have to, well, the assassin would have the hardest time getting access to it. The janitor would have not such a hard time because he's a janitor. He cleans the halls. Maybe once in a while he glances over his shoulder and sees the code input. Maybe he's been putting it together piece by piece. He's been casing the joint. This janitor, for whatever reason, hates this tech priest because he just leaves messes for him to clean up, and he's so sick of this guy. All right, so then, cook, void chef. Cook, well, he is his personal chef. So maybe occasionally he brings him his meals at his workstation. Let's say this tech priest is a workaholic. Then the void ship captain. Well, I guess that kind of eliminates the void ship captain because he wouldn't really deliver stuff directly to his doorstep. He would deliver it to like a docking bay, and then someone else would take it there to him. So that kind of eliminates him, unless he sabotaged something. But let's just eliminate him from the list. So the motive. So as I started to make stuff up, let's see here. Oh. The rival tech priest would do it because he's jealous of his scientific advances. The jealous lover would do it because they just don't like him for reasons. The apprentice would do it because he wants to be recognized for how much help he has been putting into this project. So since the apprentice is the killer, we're just going to only focus on him. His motive is wanting recognition for the So the reason why the apprentice is also a good option is most likely the apprentice would be the most likely person to not know about the inquisitorial ties. I know that might seem a little odd, but the Inquisition works very behind the scenes and doesn't tell everyone. The rival tech priest academic will probably know there's some inquisitorial influence, and even if he doesn't, he'll probably pick up the hints a lot better. Just because he's a high-ranking person, so they probably let him have more classified information in his own little group. But additionally, he might stumble on the Inquisition being a thing a lot easier. He would also have more general knowledge of the Inquisition, whereas the apprentice would be more closed-minded, or not closed-minded, more focused on his little world of working for this guy and just working on this project. So he doesn't know there's consequences of dealing with the Inquisition. So he's not like super brave, like I'll kill this guy and then I'll pick a fight with the Inquisition afterwards. No, he's just like he doesn't know they are even there. All right, so of course the apprentice had the time, but let's make up an excuse for him to. Well, no, let's make up an excuse that he would give the players to try to trick them into thinking he wasn't there. So, couldn't have been there because he was let's see here. Couldn't have been there because he was handling the shipment issues with the void ship captain. So my idea for the void ship captain being his alibi is that there's probably a bit hefty security and a lot of paperwork involved with cargo transportation. So the apprentice would have to leave the lab, go to the docking bay. On the way there, he would probably pass several security checkpoints. He would probably have to sign something, scan his ID, and then upon getting in there, he would have to talk to the void ship captain, just as like a casual thing. He'll talk to him just to validate it more, and then he'll probably purposely take longer to go through the manifest, sign off on the manifest, make sure that all the items are properly transported. Excuse me. And then he transports it back to the lab. So that gives him an alibi. So during this time frame, something happens in the lab. But how long is this time frame? how long can the tech break reasonably take from point A to point B, which is walking to the cargo? How long would the cargo take to get there? And how long would it take him to go through the cargo manifest? That all depends on the size of the cargo and what other leisure conversation he wants to have with the warship captain. But since he's trying to do this on purpose and take his time, let's say he stopped along the way a few times. He bumped into some people he knew. He talked with them so they can also be an alibi with him. So he has multiple alibis as well as a long ass time frame of not being in the lab. I am a little hungry. I don't think I spelled that word right. Right, several people he stopped to talk with, and so he just took a long time. It may seem like he did it on purpose, because he did. If the players pick up on it as, oh, he's just inept and an idiot and, takes his sweet ass time, then that's their fault for not really paying attention. But if they start to realize that he just took a long time, was it on purpose? Was it not on purpose? It's really up to the players to figure out if the character did it on purpose or on accident. Or maybe he was just enjoying himself out there on his little walk. So then, knowledge. So of course the apprentice had the knowledge to sabotage the lab. So the apprentice knowledge is helped with all the experiments. Knows how to let the specimens out and which ones are dangerous. And then as a little back end thing, let's see here. Let's say they were caught on camera arguing. Let's just put this down here as a little separate thing. So essentially the apprentice has been doing a lot of work for the tech priest, and he thinks has not been truly valued as his apprentice, not been given credit. And the tech priest has been basically giving credit and saying that he did all this cool stuff to everyone. And then occasionally you'll catch them arguing, as the tech priest said, well, I helped with this, and then you'll hear the apprentice will be caught, complaining about it. So. Alright, so there we go. That's our mystery, all said and done. So that's the mystery. We got the killer, the motive, the where, the how. Well, yes. We'll come back to the where. The where will probably be in the lab. Where? In the lab. The how? By the specimen. So the reason why I want to use the lab and by the specimen is because the lab is, of course, a pretty dangerous environment if something goes wrong. The specimen is probably a very dangerous mutated creature. That will also double down as a good opportunity for the players to fight something or to avoid fighting something or some sort of obstacle for them. So sure, the specimen killed him, but who really pulled the trigger? So there you go. That's the whole murder thing all put together. But I guess you're wondering, what kind of planet are they on? Or are they on a planet? Which comes to how to make a world. I'm eating M&Ms. Taking a little quick break to snack a little bit, a little hungry. Alright, so we got a murder mystery figured out, but where is it set? We gotta pick a world. So our options are everything. We don't have to set it on a Forge world. We don't have to set it on a research station. We could set it on a void ship. We could set it on a Pharaoh world, a Death world. We could set it on a High world. We can set it on any world. But what would make it the most fun of investigation? So, let's think about it for a moment. If we set it on a Forge world, that means you got a bunch of nerds there who could probably solve this problem or complicate the problem. If we set it on a research station, you have the sort of the same thing, only there's less people. But the downside is you won't have a world for the player to explore. You'll have a small research station, or air quotes small, opposed to a planet. They won't get to experience the environment, maybe meet the locals. Maybe just go on a little walk outside. You could do all that on a Forge world. But then again, Forge worlds kind of suck and kind of boring, and that's too obvious of a choice. Hive world would be a good option. A hive world is just a classification for a planet that has a giant city on it. That's a lot of population still. Doesn't really hit the mark of... It gives the players too many people who have to question. Or too many possibilities of people they have to question. But it also gives them a lot of room to free roam and roam around and maybe go outside the mission for a little bit. And an option for bonus objectives. However, that is also still typical. Hive world, Forge world, research station is a little too typical. Not to mention that if it was set on a Forge world, players might have been felt compelled to all play Tech Priests. And we want to encourage players to experiment a little bit more. So let's try to mix the nerd with the brawn a little bit more. So let's set it on a Pharaoh world. So once again, a Pharaoh world is a world that's basically stuck in the medieval ages, where they have swords, armor, knights, air quotes, dragons. So research station has just been plopped onto this planet, and there's some mad scientists in a lab somewhere. They all call him the Wizard, because he signs his magic to them at this point. Now, you may be thinking, but if there's a tech priest on a planet, and it's a Pharaoh world, why doesn't he just give them all the technology? No. He's paranoid and he doesn't like them. Or he thinks that task would be beneath him. And also they wouldn't know what to do with it. They'll probably just end up breaking it. Also, that's not his job. He just wanted like a quiet, secluded place to do his lab work. Pharaoh world fit the description. He probably built it up in a mountain somewhere. Out on a lake. Maybe in a forest. The Pharaoh warriors are not armed well enough to take his facility. His facility's probably got like by combat servitors. Or heavy bolter guns. Either way, they'll chew through knight armor in a matter of seconds. And then additionally, he probably picked a Pharaoh world that was not out of the way, because he still wanted to be reached by the Imperium, but a secluded Pharaoh world that so he can work in secret. Oh. Additionally, since he's on a Pharaoh world, he has easy access to test subjects, voluntary test subjects. Air quotes on that. Now then. What kind of Pharaoh world is this? Is it green? Is it gray? Is it... That's a tough choice. Let's say it's just very similar to Earth. It's not too complex, not too subtle, not too dangerous. So it's not a death world. Death world, everything is trying to kill you. Even the most harmless thing, such as a tree, is trying to kill you. On this Pharaoh world, trees are just trees. Plants are just, normal plants. Just don't eat the poison mushrooms. Alright, so there's obviously going to be a lot of farming going on because it's Pharaoh world. They ought to eat somehow. They do think it's odd that all these spaceships are just flying down, landing at this mountain. Well, they don't know they're spaceships because no one tells them anything. So let's say he's at like the base of a mountain, which is surrounded by like a forest and then maybe some trees. A forest, and then a village is out there. So, now the reason why all this is important is because, once again, he was doing genetic experiments on some sort of creature to try to develop a cure for a mutation. The final little icing on the cake that gives the player something else to do besides work in this lab trying to figure out who murdered this guy is escaped specimen, excuse me, killing the natives. So, the specimen has escaped the facility, is now murdering people. Why is that a problem? Why is that a concern? Alright, so let's see here. So it's some sort of mutation that spreads. Alright, there we go. So now we got a indoor investigation thing for the players to do. They'll be talking to NPCs, figuring things out. And then at the same time, they're against a ticking clock, which is the exterior threat of the specimen running loose, murdering people. And then spreading whatever mutation it has to other people, causing them to also do other stuff. So then, they got one ticking clock, and then a investigation to solve. So they have to prioritize: do we capture the monster, or do we solve the investigation? The risk is that the investigation, the clues might run dry, someone might clean the place up, and they also need to get back on track or get back to work maybe, so that might also become a ticking clock as well. And then the outside thing is always going to be a problem, because whatever reason these feral worlds can't handle this monster that's out there. It's tearing them to pieces. So that is, again, another opportunity for the players to walk around, speak to the people, use their social skills, maybe request items from feral worlds. I know that guns are useful, but melee weapons are actually very decent in this game. So if you're on a feral worlder, their armor is the best armor next to power armor, and in addition to their melee weapons, of course. I'm eating canning. I can't stop. This is delicious. So anyway, so now you got like, actually, you got like a full campaign here. Rather than there just being one mission, they got several missions and several options to tackle those missions. Will they first focus on the murder investigations and the apprehension of the apprentice? Or will they track down the monster and let's say they need it alive. So if they leave it to the natives to take care of it, they will probably eventually get around to winning against the monster, but there will be tons of casualties, and they'll probably end up killing it. So that's another reason why that problem won't handle itself. So let's type that in. Alright, so then, with that, so specimen escape, and it's killing the natives. Players need to hunt down the specimen to prevent the mutation from spreading. Specimen is needed alive by the Inquisition, so they have an actual authority tell them, you can't like half-ass this job. I want that thing alive. Players tend to find reasons to not take their job seriously. And it's not a job, but not to take the objective seriously. So if you tell players, hey, I need you to figure out who murdered this guy, they'll probably just walk in there and go, alright, he did it, and then shoot him, and goes, what if we're wrong? Alright, he probably did, and they'll just shoot him. They won't actually figure out who did it, they'll just like shoot people and call it a day. That's not how a investigation works. So you have to So you kind of have to pressure them, and your method of pressuring them is to use the Inquisition to basically say, if you don't do this job fucking right, it's gonna be way worse than just getting shot in the head. That's the only thing I know of that will probably help keep players on track and seriously try to attempt to solve the mystery or crime or actually accomplish the objective. But you're welcome to do it any way you want. Alright, let's see here. Any other points? Let's see here. Alright, so then. We're outside. We're hunting for this monster. That's all well and good, but what else is going on out there? So let's say, on top of this monster, hunting down the natives and killing them, let's say there's a little war going off. Or a small little war going on. Let's say there is a war between two rival, let's go with guilds. Okay. They have hired knights to fight, and they're dead. So the reason why I'm going with a guild, two guilds are fighting, and they have hired knights to fight for them, to fight each other for them, is because something else I'm going to bring up in a moment here, to add some more intrigue here. So if I did the first thing where I just said two guilds are fighting each other, there's not much of a, there's not much intrigue there. But if you go, two guilds have hired two groups of people to fight each other for them, there's a bit more of something there for the players to get into. So, as an example, because these two people are hired to fight for the guild, they are only really fighting each other for professional reasons. So maybe that could be an arguing point for when the players show up. They could show up and go, hey, we have way more money than these two people. How about you work for us, find this monster, and we'll pay you this money. That would be an influence check against their, I guess, honor of upholding their contract. in addition, because they're not actually enemies. They don't like hate each other's guts. They're just working professionally. Players can also argue, hey, can you guys like stop fighting each other for like a few minutes, or like a few, like the amount of time it takes them to solve this problem. Stop fighting each other for that amount of time, and help us track down this monster because it's mutating people and causing more problems, and it's gonna mess with everyone. So you're all gonna have problems later on if you don't solve this now together. So that's more of an argument point there. If talking to the mercenaries doesn't seem to be working out, then the players can have an option too. They can just go to their superiors and talk with them. However, their superiors would probably be in two different areas, whereas the mercenaries would be closer together and fighting each other. So roughly, that's like a day. That's like a day versus probably 3 days travel going to one place and another, and then getting those two people to talk and communicate with each other, which probably take days going back and forth. And then once they agree to work together, or maybe they only need to convince one side to work with them, and then they can use their mercenaries to go hunt down this monster. But then they're still fighting a war, so they have to make it more beneficial for the person they go request aid from. Then again, they don't have to request aid from anyone at all. They can just go hunt the monster. But the way that this is set up, that I've written it out, it gives them multiple ways of requesting aid from the people of this world. They can also ask the villagers, but the villagers are probably not all knights and warriors, so they'll probably be bad at the job. So they might just turn them down. So, with that said, there is a war between two rival guilds. They have hired mercenaries to fight in their stead. Players may request aid from the guilds, mercenaries, and townsfolk. So this is multiple recruiting multiple ways of them to recruit someone. Also, if a player gets horribly killed, yes, that's horrible, or horribly injured to the point in which they can't use their character, now you have a reinforcement character to come in and fill their role for a while. That's not just a inquisitorial badass. They could be like a native of this world, and they could go, oh, I'll help you while your friend recovers. And they could be a townsfolk, so they have like a higher knowledge of the area and survival. So for those of you who don't know, reinforcements characters are basically like pre-gens that you spend influence to gain. But I don't like, you burn the influence, so that permanently lowers the influence. But I don't really like that idea, so I either create a pre-gen and just let the player use that until their character heals up, or I have the player create a character using very defined background, very defined rule set, such as, hey, you're making a favorable character who knows the area, so I'm just going to give you these skills for free, and then the rest of the character creation rules are the same, except for you don't have access to laser guns and shit like that. That is what I would do. That way, players can keep playing and not feel like, oh, my character's wounded, I guess I'm bitch now. So we created some political intrigue out there, a method for players to get help, and some other conflict for them to get involved in if they so choose. The plant life and wildlife isn't really much of a problem out there on a fair world, or on a fair world, and not like on the scale of a death world. Things are like just common animals. We don't have many environmental hazards. So let's set this probably during the winter. So it's going to be a little. So the task of tracking down this monster is going to be even harder, because the snow will cover up footsteps. It's going to be cold out there, so they have to stay warm. So that adds into the survival aspect. And most of the animals are probably hibernating, and plant life is probably hibernating as well, or whatever plants do during the winter. They're not blooming, so there's probably no like food to salvage off the trees, and the mercenaries are still fighting in that fucking cold. So that gives the players, some little point to help the mercenaries. Hey, do you guys want to stop fighting in the cold? Help us out, and we'll give you guys like some warm comforters and food. Alright. Now then, so we got environmental hazards, something going on outside the research station. So making a world is still part of the make a campaign step. Where is it? Oh, that's weird. Oh, you know what? I messed up the forking. Oh well, who cares? So, this is our campaign. Let's figure out who murdered the tech priest in his lab. And capture the specimen that escaped the lab. And then our world is going to add to our campaign by just having like background stuff for the players to interact with. So now they have to navigate an active battlefield through the harsh winter, as well as try to track down this monster. So they probably should recruit help, because it's really hard to figure out where you're going, especially in the winter. They have multiple areas to recruit help from. And that should be pretty much it. Alright. Seems pretty legit. Alright, so then, make a map. Let's make a map. So, when we think of maps, we think battle maps or world maps. So we're going to do a battle map because I'm really bad at making world maps. So I have Dungeon Draft for making a map. I'm going to go to new map. I'm going to go to, this is good size right here, 3040 tiles. We're going to use none of these asset paths right here. I'm gonna click OK. So let's do something outdoors. Okay. Let's actually start with writing this down. So we want to make a battle map. Outdoors. Winter. Alright, these are just keywords that we're going to go off of. So it needs to be a battle map. That's outdoors. That's in winter. And why do we need this battle map? Let's say the players have tracked this mutant to a cottage. And it was there recently. It may still be there. They're unsure. They're trying to figure that out. But this blood on this ground is very fresh. And the tracks in the snow have not been covered up. So, cottage in the woods. Fresh blood and tracks in the snow. Alright, so we got those two things we want. Cottage in the woods, fresh tracks in the snow. I guess I'm also like showing off Dungeon Craft at the same time, but it'll take me a while. I forget where my settings are. I call it the time. Alright, man. No. No. Where are you? Oh, there we go. Alright. So, for Dungeon Draft, the most bottom one right here is terrain dirt. If you changed it to, say, this, it changes the whole thing, but I want terrain dirt to be my bottom layer. And then terrain gravel, I'm going to switch this to terrain snow. And then these don't need to be in there. So I'm just going to ignore them. Actually, I should probably put it in terrain grass and then snow. Alright, so basically, this is like layers. So this is layer 1, 2, and 3. So this layer is layer 1 currently. But if I switch to this one, I paint over it. It adds in the layer 2 terrain grass. So I'm going to add some in here. So as I picture this cottage here, I'm thinking that it's definitely in the woods. So there should be a lot of grass everywhere, but I don't want too much grass. Well, I don't want just only grass, but then again I could. Maybe it's a nice lush grassy area. But having in some dirt splotches shows that the place has been used before, or the path has been traveled. So let's make a little path heading up to the cottage. There's a dirt path here. Then let's add some more little splotches of dirt, but they're probably just gonna get covered up by the snow, so I guess it doesn't really matter. Just a little dirt splotch over there. Alright, now the terrain snow. This is probably just gonna cover everything up, but yeah. Yeah, it's just gonna cover everything up. Yeah, I'm just gonna cover everything up. Just kind of wasting my time on that. So snow would be everywhere, except for where people mostly walk. So actually, what am I doing? This probably just faster. Just switch that to snow. There we go. So you see the dirty ground, the brown through the snow. And this dirt path means someone has recently traveled. Alright, let's put this house right here. Alright, there we go. I'm going to save this as cottage. I hope is it recording this? Okay, good. Alright, next thing is I need to build a house. So wood flooring, wood walls, and then I'm going to make a house. So it's gonna be a nice, let's put a nice cottage like right about here. I think it'd be more of a rectangle, so let's put it like that. Zoom in a little bit. Let's select it. Pretty sure I can just rotate it. I might have been wrong with that. Oh well, it's fine the way it is. I'm happy with this. You're happy with this. We're all happy with this. It's a nice little happy cottage. Alright, So then I also wanted to put like a little barn right here too, like stable, little place for them to put their horses. So actually this should be this. So let's change the interior. There we go. Let's make somewhat made out of wood. Alright, now then, we're gonna put in some more wooden walls here. So this is a stable. My idea is that this is like the place where they store stuff. This is like, I don't know, this is like more the open area in which they store stuff. I don't know. But this right here is definitely where they put the animals. So I'm just gonna make a quick fenced-in area, like so. Put one right there. These are walls, and then let's see here. I guess this is a walkway. It's all covered in hay. Do I have a mud floor? Sewers, cave floor, smart stone, concrete, cobble, carpet. Alright, there's no dirt flooring, which is fine. I'm happy with this. Oh, let me go back to my walls. Now for the interior, I'm going to start with the walls, shoving all the walls everywhere just so I have to keep going back between tools. So then, this is the wall layout for the wall and floor plan for the shed, or shed slash barn for the stables for the animals. And then over here is the house. So let's see here. For the house, we should first of all divide the entrance from the rest of the rooms. So I would say since it's in olden times, they would probably have like a greeting room, and then their beds, and then the kitchen off to the sides. So straight down the center would probably be their, as I said it, the greeting room where they greet and entertain guests. So they probably want this room pretty big and straight at the entrance. And then on the sides here, they want their bedrooms. So bedroom, studies, or something like that. So let's see here. Let's give them multiple rooms. There, I think that works out pretty well. So I would say this is the bedroom. First of all, this is the living room and the entertaining room for you entertain guests. Goes in through here to the hallway, maybe. It's more private room area. And then from here, this is the bedroom. This is a smaller room for the guest bedroom. The bathroom. So what should this room be? This could just be a secondary bedroom. But the bathroom's okay. I was thinking putting a hallway right here, actually. Let me move that wall. Maybe I'll just make this into a hallway. Oh, I see, you want to play hard to get. Set at the points. Ah, that looks weird. Let's redo the wall. I have trouble making maps. Alright, let's see here. Maybe put the hallway here. And God, I'm trying to build my dream home here. Go to here, and then down to here, and then... Yeah, I think that works out better. Alright. And like put the bathroom like here. And this is like the guest bedroom. This is the bathroom, and this is the main bedroom. So you would travel through this hallway here. You can stop at the bathroom, or you can keep going to the guest bedroom and then into the normal bedroom. Or this could be a study. I don't know. Living room area, and then I need a kitchen and maybe storage, pantry or whatever. Oh, dining room table area. So I would probably section this off here. Dining room, and then kitchen. Alright, now to put in some doors and some windows and other such stuff. So let's see here. We're going to go to door. Oh, what door should I use? I'll go with these. Alright, so first one is the main door. Go up here, into here, door over there, bathroom, door there. Let's put a door here. So that way he only has to go to the bedroom when he actually wants to just go to sleep. This is the kitchen. Food. All right. There's a door to that right there, and a door from that angle. Oh right, I should probably have fenced in the. Oh, I can put him on there. Now I have to decide how my door should look for the barn entrance. I want something big, so I guess this will do. That to turn off snapping. Put a portcullis here. Would that make a good stand-in for a fence? I'll do this. Yeah, that works. There. Now for windows. since they didn't have much in the ways of electrical lighting, they probably had tons of windows to let in light in from outside. So we're gonna let some light in from the north area because that's the living room, and the sides. This will probably be the fireplace goes in the center. In the hallway, you'll probably see some there, a couple there. None in the bathroom because that would be weird. This room is candlelit. Guess he wants a nice quiet room with no light. This one doesn't need a window. This would probably need a window. Make sure we save. I'm getting a piece of candy. Alright, I'm about to get up and get a piece of candy. Thing I want is not in that bag. Alright, let's see here. We got our windows in there. Got our doors in there. Next step would be... Do we want a cave system? No, we do not need a cave system. Pattern tool. Don't need that. Roofing is what the roofing tool does. Super unnecessary. Roofs are nice. Anyways, that's what it looks like. Roofs. Maybe I'll go with more of a brown. Gray, well, maybe. Yeah, I think gray. It's pretty much kind of a gray place. Alright. Terrain brush, did that. Water, there's no water really here. I'm gonna put a well right there. Do I need to paint anything? Ooh, yes, let's paint a little like I don't know, what's it called? Cliff chain. Ooh, blood trail. So let's paint a little blood trail. Okay, that blood trail was a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. All right, well, so let's paint this scene a little bit more. So he was alone. Oh, maybe he was there with some guests, or maybe alone. Who really know? Something happened in here, and then something dragged the body from point A to point B. So where do we want our murder scene to be at? So let's see here. Let's just put it there. Let's say he dragged into the bathroom. Ooh, I can fade it. In that case, let's start over again. Let's do here, here, here. Bam! A realistic blood trail. Alright. I'm just gonna leave that one off into the woods. There's like a blood trail leading out the window and out into the woods. Let's see here. The blood trail leading from the kitchen area to the storage kitchen area, pantry. Maybe there's a blood trail going out this window. Out into the barn. For that last one, I'm going to curve it again. So, I'm painting a scene, okay? It's not going to make sense right now. There. Ooh, wait. We just. No one's gonna laugh at this, but this is for my own amusement. I am super distracted. I'm gonna finish what I'm doing and then I'm gonna actually get back to work in a second. Just messing around with this tool. This is the fun tool to mess with, okay? Don't judge me. So anyways, if one of your enemies has a vendetta against one of your players, you can write their name in blood. How much fun is that? Yeah. Exciting, right? Alright, let me just should delete this, okay. Alright. So now, the blood trails will tell a story. So let's see here. Blood trail reading from here to out there in the woods. Maybe something climbed in the window, all bloodied. Maybe it left bloodied. We don't know yet. We'll figure that out later. Something happened here, or maybe it happened in the bathroom. Either way, from the casual room to the bathroom. Something bloodied happened there. Maybe something happened in the kitchen, and they got dragged into there. Maybe someone tried to escape through this window, ran over here, tried to jump through that window, and then ran around, tried to use the door. Maybe. Yeah. And then there's another plus thing that goes around to the thing over there. It's a lot of stuff you could probably figure out what happened. I don't know. Who knows? Hey, maybe it's, like, it's a lot of blood, I guess. Most likely whoever that blood belongs to is probably dead. Just put down a nice, happy fence. Oh, it should not have fade on. Actually, yeah, I think you should have the front yard fenced in so the animals don't get in there. Alright, now we're on to the more interesting part we're going to make. We're going to put stuff down into places and call it stuff. Alright. I'm just going to start from the top and just throw items into rooms and I'll organize it later. So let's see here. I want to say this is the study. So study should have a globe in it. A letter. That. Probably a book. The two. Maybe a map with a poorly drawn boat on it. Some scrolls. These are not elder scrolls, these are just regular scrolls. Scroll bow. Bathtub. Might have to expand this bathroom. Pretty big bathtub. Oh, let's turn off snapping. Let's probably go with a spherical bathtub. Nah, he's kind of rich. They would probably have a oval bathtub. I'm just sort of assembling all the little pieces like this, assemble all the pieces I want to use, and then I put them all throughout the map. That way I have them all at the ready, and I don't have to go, I wonder how to look with this. Just some rope. Broom. Pitchfork. I don't want to put the corpses in there because then I might want them removed. Then again, same thing with the bloodstains. Probably should have not put those in there because I might want them removed. It all really depends. That's a big cow. That's a small cow. That's an average sized cow. I put the cat there. So this is probably like a noble or rich person's house, or like the village chief's place. So it's gonna have some knights in armor. Here's some treasure chests. Some scanned rugs. A little piano for music, entertainment, chandeliers. And then of course he has like a large ass bed. Maybe we had a more modest sized bed. Did I pass bench? Oh, I can see what bench is here. I think I passed table. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. Oh, hello, Mackie. You. Oh, jeez, yawning. I'm making a map. I just got done doing my whole spiel about how to make a character, uh, campaign, and now I'm working on a battle map. It's a yeah, it's a no, it's a well, I mean, it's a house that someone broke into, and there's a crime scene in there. Toilet goes there. Oh, on the ground over here. Oh, yes. Well, next time you are up in the morning or up at night, and I'm up in the morning, you should let me know, and we could play Red Dead Redemption 2 or Back for Blood. Okay, Pentagon. This is for a Dh2e campaign, murder mystery, or mystery period. I figured I'll goof around. Oh, it's barn stables. Not big though. I like mine. I'm not. I'm not doing that. I'll just leave it at this. I lost my train of thought. Alright. Well, as you can see, I quickly put together a house-ish. I'm going to throw all that stuff in there off screen. Probably not too interesting to watch. Kitchen. Forget what this room was. Maybe I'll expand this out to the kitchen. I mean, not the kitchen, the dining room area. Expand this out, nice big dining room area. Living room area where he meets people. Study, bathroom, living area, sleeping area. Probably make this into a guest bedroom. Maybe that would make sense. I think that makes more sense, but I think I like the idea of dining room being a bit bigger. Alright. Well, that's the end of the stream. If anyone has any questions about making a character and Dh2e, making a campaign, making a battle map, let me know. Bye-bye now.